Aliens, it says the most enjoyable horror since The Evil Dead.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, this is his directorial debut.
Yeah.
Crushed it.
But so you saying it's like, it is kind of like Predator in that it's a team of soldiers that's out on one thing and then they encounter something else.
Yep. And I love that, right?
Do you think this happens in the same world as Predator?
Yes.
Do you think that Predators come down to get soldiers in the next movie, they encounter dog soldiers?
Yes.
Do you think there's a dog soldiers Alien versus Predator versus dog soldiers crossover?
Yes.
I'm in for all that.
That's like our next 47 podcasts. Episodes, I mean. That's our next 47 episodes.
Has Schwarzenegger ever fought a werewolf?
Ooh. Man, I don't think so.
Fought the devil in
End of Days. Yep. He's fought like robots.
Kinds of robots.
What action stars have fought werewolves? Like Jack Nicholson played a wolf.
Whoa. Yeah, Jack.
Yep, Jack.
Remember Wolf with him and
Pfeiffer. Yeah. I don't know about you, but I'm a big fan of Joe Johnston's Wolfman, starring Benicio del Toro, Emily Blunt, and Anthony Hopkins.
So I'm a fan of Joe Johnston, Emily Blunt, Anthony Hopkins, and Benicio del Toro. That movie was a bit of a chore.
I guess I liked that it was $100 million.
Yeah, sure was.
The sumptuous production design and the really neat CGI. I kind of dug the vibe, and I liked how linear it was. Full moon, full moon, full moon.
Yeah, I think though that every monster iteration skips success.
Got it.
So like every other Dracula movie is great, and every other Frankenstein movie is great. And so I think that the Wolfman with Benicio del Toro just hit a miss there.
And it skipped a beat?
Yeah.
Interesting. So this is totally random, but what are some of your favorite lines in this movie? Because it is like, I love when he tells Spoon not to stare back. Like, don't look back at him. He's like, well, I kind of have to.
Yeah,
right?
It's hard not to. My favorite line was when the cow falls and then the guy starts shooting it and goes, "You're shooting blanks."
Or he got into a fight with Jack the Ripper and lost.
Yeah, that's good. Like you say, the whole monologue about the tattoo is dynamite.
I mean, that's a good story. Like, Neil Marshall wrote that. That's a very, like, my soul is good, but my skin isn't. And then he blows up, and that one part with the devil on his butt was still around.
But for me, the part that got me was when he said, "But what got us was when we find a piece we recognized."
Oof.
That's a real moment. That came from some soldier somewhere. That's a real moment.
Like, in that movie Fury, when he finds a hunk of that eye?
Yeah. Fury's so good, though.
So good. Great lunch scene.
Yes.
I had to watch that movie again when I wrote my Brad Pitt eating piece. So I was like, this is a really good movie. And then Red Riding Hood's going to get chinned.
Yep.
That line made me very happy.
So there was a Red Riding Hood line. There was a Three Little Pigs line where it was like, he's like, "Hey, little piggies, we're coming to your home." And so there was a reference to like the big bad wolf there. Like they were clever with what they were doing before they even established it was werewolves.
And you know what I loved about these lines is that, remember when Quentin Tarantino craze came out, 94, then you had all those Tarantino knockoff movies? I'm not saying this is.
No.
But every line, every movie line has been written. Obviously some have been improv. But there's movies that are beautifully written that don't feel like a screenplay writer is slapping himself on the back, like patting himself on the back. These lines didn't feel like written lines that were meant because a guy thought he was cool. These lines felt organic in the way that they were delivered and the guys that said them.
Yeah.
Did you feel that same way?
100%. I very, very much, like I said, it almost felt not like a documentary, but like found footage, if you will.
Like he captured lightning in a bottle with this. And now obviously those troopers did blend in, but that's a budgetary thing because if you just put everyone in the same outfits, it's much cheaper.
But also I would say that if you took a unit of UK soldiers, they would blend in together.
Yeah, you're right. And you got to have the short hair.
Yeah, they're all like fresh out of the boot camp or whatever it is.
Now, do you think that was pork in their stew.
Pork in the stew.
Remember when they
which,
walked in to the house and they just started looking for stuff, and she's like, "Don't take their stuff."
I think it was people from the cellar.
Yeah, so they're eating people.
Yeah.
So there's a minor touch of cannibalism in this film that's never mentioned again.
Bro, we need to do Ravenous.
Oh, I've done Ravenous.
You have?
Like 8 episodes ago.
Oh, Ravenous is pure gold.
I bought the fancy edition Blu-ray with 3 commentaries, and I listened to all of them.
Oh, you said cannibalism, and I just was like, Ravenous.
Yeah, that movie is so... The music, oh my goodness.
That like the banjo.
So good.
I'm watching that after we're done tonight.
Do it. And then I love their references to Fort Williams, because I've been there a couple times out in Scotland. I love
so there's also a Fort William in Canada, in Thunder Bay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to cover all the Fort Williams.
So here's an interesting fact. I took my wife for our honeymoon up to Fort William in Thunder Bay, and it's the only existing, still standing, non-military fort in North America. So it was based because it was the natives had to have good relations with the English when they came here, and so it was a trading fort. It was all based on fur trade, and so they wanted to have good relations. So they would take any skin, any fur they had. So they would bring them squirrel pelts, and the English would have to buy them. And so then they had to say, what do we do with these squirrel pelts? And so they would sew them up, and they would send them to England. And if a lady could fit her hand inside a squirrel, she was a true lady. If her hand was too big, then she wasn't refined enough.
Wow.
It's a real thing. How crazy is that?
I guess with the elite, that sounds pretty normal.
Yeah, but it was just based on, like, we don't want these guys to shoot us with bows and arrows, so we'll take their squirrels. What do we do with them? And then it becomes this, like, well, if you are a true lady, you can fit your hand inside a squirrel pelt.
I want to see an ad. You know, the most interesting man in the world, but with a woman.
Right.
Slipping her hand into a squirrel pelt.
But yes. But no, there was good, like, the dialogue felt real, so they're referencing things that were around there. And it was very, like, local, and I like that.
And the super glue is in Vietnam. I love that line. You know what super glue is really good at attaching together? Your fingers.
Right.
And then so I was watching this movie once, and I don't know why, but it was probably my 3rd time watching. I'm like, sure, Percy would be dead right by now. But then I remembered he was becoming a lycanthrope, a werewolf.
Right.
So. And then when he got up, I'm like, man, this is dumb. And I'm like, wait, I've seen this movie 3 times before, and I know exactly what's going to happen. But no, I dug that angle. It catches me by surprise, even though I've watched it 8 times.
So here's the thing. The first time I watched this movie in 2004, I was watching on a Saturday night after my wife went to bed because she does not like horror or anything close to it. So I was up alone watching this movie, and it was a Saturday night, and I was going to play guitar the next morning in church. But I had cut my finger in the kitchen earlier that day.
Oh.
And when they said that line, I got crazy glue and crazy glued my finger together so I could play guitar the next day.
Well, and it worked?
And it worked fine.
Wow, Dog Soldiers got you rocking again.
Dog Soldiers saved the day.
You want to hear something interesting? So this movie came out, right? And it was a moderate hit. It got him dissent. It had some releases. People knew about it. But when Scream Factory wanted to make it into the Uber Blu-ray that is released now, they had to get in contact with a collector who owned 2 of the prints of this movie.
Okay.
And then they had to bring it in to make it look better for the Blu-ray.
Right, because you blew up 60 millimeter.
Yeah, and that's why there's so much heavy grain in this.
Right.
Because they blew it up, but they had to find a collector. But the good news is, it wasn't like Event Horizon that was in a Transylvanian salt mine and they couldn't add the director's cut scenes to it. They found everything here in good position. So I kind of love that. And then also, amazing. Another cool thing I thought, Kevin McKidd in a documentary that I watched on YouTube said, this is a movie about military men fighting werewolves. This isn't a movie about werewolves killing military men.
That's a really cool way to look at this thing.
Right? Because it's not Jason Voorhees killing teenagers.
No, you don't see the werewolves until the end.
Yep. And they look great.
They look so good.
Wimps. I found an article that said they were the 2nd best looking werewolves. And
is it Is it Werewolves in London that take the cake?
No, that was number 6. They put Cabin in the Woods at number 1, but that's cheating because that werewolf was on screen for 12 seconds.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, they look good. They have I mean, obviously they're actors on stilts, so they're not going to move that fast when they're on screen. But they just looked, man. Oh my gosh, they look so good. I think the guy who did it is Rob Ball, and he has worked on almost every movie you could think of. Just beautiful stuff. Like he's done I think he worked on like Hellraiser, Event Horizon, just effects heavy movies with these kind of things. And oh, dude, the ending explosion. Do you know that was a miniature?
It was a miniature.
3 foot high.
Amazing.
And I mean, you can tell it's a miniature, but it's I love it, dude. Like
so I didn't know. I didn't tell it was a miniature. I thought it was because it was only the front and the side of the house were actually built. So I thought it just looked like a cheaply built staged house exploding.
It's just a little miniature, and I got to watch it explode.
That's amazing. So to go back a little bit, yes, you know what my favorite line was?
Yeah.
My favorite line was when he says, "I hope I give you the shits."
Yeah, oh, that's so good.
What right? He's like, I'm gonna die. I hope you get indigestion.
And as much as I love Hudson going, game over, man, like he quits. Spoon is like, I'm gonna give you some problems going down.
Yeah, I will fight you beyond death.
And also another aspect I like, which would have been fun in the sequels, when Meg says to Coop, now you know what lives in the shadows. You can't go back.
Right.
What do you think he does after this?
Honestly, I think he goes like full nomad. Like he just gets a cabin in the woods. He lives by himself, preparing for in case the werewolves come back. He knows no one's going to believe him at headquarters. He knows he's going to be thought of as a crazy person. So he just becomes self-sufficient, like a doomsday prepper, but prepping for something he knows is a reality.
Yeah, I like that. Is he going to will he be able to trust again?
I don't know.
Right? Like, yeah. Anytime you see somebody walking, whoa, what is that? Does that make sense?
How do you trust anybody? Because they kept pushing that, like, oh, Coop and this girl are gonna fall in love. He's working for the first kiss. Oh, first date. Like, there's all these kind of like Coop never tried to make a move on her, but everybody else was implying like, well, you're the male lead and she's the female lead. Something's gonna happen.
That was so forced. That was kind of annoying.
But then, but they didn't buy into it. Just everybody around them. But then she tries to kill the whole crew.
And it's interesting. She says, if you're nice to some people, it's good, but if you're nice to me, you die.
No, so she was talking about, so I think there was like a missed subplot where he hated women.
Oh, because remember in the beginning he says he's afraid of women?
Right.
I'm afraid of spiders, women, and spider women.
Right. And then she says, if you're nice to women, you get in trouble. If you're nice to me, you get dead. They're just bitches. I'm the real thing.
Oh, okay. So I think then she went to change.
Yeah, and then she started to change, but then she got shot in the head.
And then came back.
Yeah. They always come back, Mark.
They always come back. Oh, and also the people that lived in the house, their last name was Celtic for horror.
Yeah, that was a neat twist.
Right?
Remember, though, so here's another thing. Remember the movie The Monster Squad?
I do.
Remember when they blew up that werewolf?
Yeah.
And then his pieces crawled back together because it wasn't a silver bullet?
Yep.
I think that's happening in the forests of Scotland right now.
I mean, if you can take a bullet in the face, you're going to reform. But they're all gooey together, so how do they know what to bond with?
I think they just know.
Are there going to be some weird-looking werewolves?
That'd be amazing.
Wouldn't that be great?
There's so many sequels for this movie that could be.
And all right, so it's like Event Horizon. I love Event Horizon. I don't want a sequel. I don't even want the extended director's cut.
No.
I'm just happy with the 90 minutes that it is. This movie...
The 90 bizarre minutes that it is.
I just want dog soldiers. And the good thing is, this movie, there aren't that many werewolf movies. And whenever a top 10 list comes out, if you don't put dog soldiers in the top 10, your list is stupid.
Right. And you can't have Twilight on the list at all.
Yeah. And I guess I hate saying you're stupid because we're adults and there are opinions. Or maybe you're just trying to be edgy, but you just can't put dog soldiers in there. So any list that comes out will have dog soldiers. It has a special edition Blu-ray. So this movie does live on. So we don't need sequels.
So what did this do budget versus box office or income wise? Do we know?